Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, friends. Wherever you are joining us around the Womble Global Footballing Emporium, this is Mike T welcoming you along to the broadcast by the world-famous, redoubtable and indefatigable radio WDON, brought to you in conjunction with your club media package, the iFollow Dons. And the 2022-23 smorgasbord of AFC Wimbledon fun and thrills and frolics takes us to within 6 victories of the FA Cup final. Chesterfield, the visitors, here this afternoon in some more Emirates-sponsored action. The Dons eventually seeing off at Weymouth at the second time of asking 11 days ago as part of a 10-match unbeaten run in all competitions, and looking to make it a nice round legs 11 here this afternoon with our visitors from Derbyshire, currently riding high, third in the National League table, looking to put a spoke well and truly in the Dons' wheel here this afternoon, with of course a multitude of big boys, so to speak, awaiting whoever be the victor this afternoon in the terms of the third round draw to take place on Monday night. Well, as always, a massive good afternoon to my cohorts and co-collaborator Mr. Rob Cornell, and a very special summarising guest this afternoon. He's been with us before. He just couldn't wait to get back on the microphone. We know who he is, Rob.
Yeah, it's good to have Will Nightingale back with us on commentary this afternoon. Will, how does it feel to be up here in the press area?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Obviously, I'd rather be out there on the pitch, but like you both said, I've been with you both before. You've took me under your wing, and I'm looking forward to it.
So there we go then. We're all set then. The Dons then in their traditional azure and gold. Chesterfield all in green here this afternoon, making their first visit to Plough Lane since the 24th of April 1982 in the old third division. Chesterfield then will be getting things underway, attacking the South London Movers stand in this first half. So we're all set then for FA Cup mania then this afternoon. Away we go. Dons, as we've said, on this impressive unbeaten run at Chesterfield, of course, National League side, but certainly showing great credentials, challenging with Wrexham and Notts County for the leadership of that division at the moment. Here they come now down the right-hand side with Jeff King, tries to play it down the line, deflects out of play. First throw-in then of the afternoon goes to Chesterfield. And despite certain transportation and logistical difficulties, Chesterfield very well represented here this afternoon, and already making plenty of noise away to our left in that Cherry Red Records end.
Will, tough opposition here this afternoon. Chesterfield are doing well. They're on an unbeaten run. What do you make of this?
Yeah, obviously it'll be a really good game. It's a very difficult league to get out of, as you could see last year how well teams like Wrexham done and still couldn't get out of it. So they'll be a very well organised team. Obviously Paul Cook's a very experienced manager in the Football League, so yeah, it'll be a tough test, and one that both of us are going to go for, obviously. And days like this, it obviously just brings back memories to the West Ham FA Cup night. So
the free kick is floated then into the Dons penalty area, but the assistant had long since flagged on this near side. So free kick then to the Dons.
He's a brave man, Paul Cook, you've got to say. Look out there with the short sleeve shirt on this afternoon, Will.
Yeah, what is he, Northerner?
I think so, yeah.
He's fresh out of Merseyside, isn't he, with that little distinctive twang in his voice?
Yeah, it's pretty clear.
But of course, you mentioned about Wrexham last season, and the team that of course pipped them in the playoffs. So visit us here next Saturday at 12:30 Greenwich Mean Time. Grimsby Town paying us a cheeky little visit for their first Plough Lane visit since the Harry Haddock FA Cup extravaganza in 1989. Meantime, back in 2022 in terms of the FA Cup, still the Dons 0, Chesterfield 0. 2 minutes gone, played forward towards halfway by Chesterfield. Magoma, though, will get there ahead of Armando Dobra and try and get the Dons back on their way. Steered back forward, though, by Bailey Clements for Chesterfield, but unable to maintain the momentum, and it's Ethan Chisley who gets back and steers it all the way through to Nick Zanev. Launched high and forward by him. Davison beaten in the air by Jamie Grimes, the Chesterfield captain. Chislett, though, can try and get the Dons going once again in a forward motion, but just too much purchase on that attempted diagonal pass, looking for Davison, but in the end went way beyond him, and into the hands of the very luminously indeed attired Chesterfield goalkeeper Ross Fitzsimmons.
We found a really decent sort of combination with this lineup and this formation, the players involved, haven't we, Will? And you've got three front men in form there at the moment: Josh Davison, Ava Sal and Ethan Chislett.
Yeah, for sure. They're working well together and they're all chipping in with goals and assists, which is what you want from your front players. I think we're starting to make it hard for teams and difficult for teams, and we're giving ourselves a platform to then go and obviously create those moments of special play from Ayub and Chiz and Josh to win us the game, really.
And of course the Dons were able to call on that particular triumvirate from the subs bench on Tuesday night to see off the late threat of our brash neighbours and those upstarts from a few miles away. It's Sutton United. Plymouth away, of course, the next port of call for the Dons in that particular competition, 12 days before Christmas. And well, if the thought of a nice turkey with all the trimmings doesn't set your mouth watering, then the trip to Home Park will undoubtedly take care of that as well. Coming up for 4 minutes gone, Wimbledon 0, Chesterfield 0. It's Jeff King again down the right hand side, lofts it forward. Ogundare wins it in the air. Picked up though by Tom Whelan for Chesterfield. Way towards the far side now for Clements. Now Dobra tries to keep it in play on the far side, and in the end he's very well closed down indeed by Ogundare, one of the real rising stars in terms of the first team reckoning for the Dons, and Chesterfield in the end forced to go all the way back to the keeper. Tried to rebuild the play down the right hand side, but Asal steps in and intercepts, and in the end Harry Pell in a little tussle on this near side, and well, he's just given a little shove to one of the grounded Chesterfield players there. It's Tyrone Williams who's gone down in something of a heap. Surely it can't be complete coincidence that the Dons revival has again gone in tandem with Harry Pell practicing certain types of arts, shall we say, for the Dons, and just again just trying to ruffle a few opposing feathers and turning it into something approaching the Wimbledon of old, Rob, that we were breastfed on as children.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we both remember, don't we, Will, when Harry was with us the last time, and he was, was a young player, but now he brings so much experience to this team, and as Mikey has hinted at times, brings perhaps a little bit of the darker side, which you need at this level, basically.
Yeah, 100%. I can't lie, he's very entertaining to watch. If you just have a player cam on him and just watch him, you see all the mischief that he gets up to on the pitch, little pushes. He's already started something on the touchline. We're only a couple of minutes in, so like you said, we probably missed that over past few seasons, that bit of cleverness, that bit of street smart and being horrible at the same time. So that is what he is good at. That is what he brings to the table.
Goal kick forward then from Fitzsimmons for Chesterfield. Towler challenges in the air. Deflects out of play then on this near side. Throw into Chesterfield. 5.5 minutes gone then. Still the Dons 0, Chesterfield 0. Emirates sponsored FA Cup second round lunacy from here at the Cherry Red Record Stadium. Myself, Mike T, Rob Cornell, and the prodigal son of summarising Mr. Will Nightingale emerging from the wilderness and joining us again this afternoon after a bit of sabbatical, but those vocal cords are still momentously crispy. As Ross Fitzsimmons now launches the ball high and forward again for Chesterfield. Towler again tussling for the ball with Joe Quigley. It'll break now for King once again on the near side. Ball deflects out of play. Throw-in once again goes the way of Chesterfield, who've certainly looked to try and set out their stall pretty early doors here this afternoon. Maybe just shading things in a territorial sense, but still no save worthy of the name needing to be made by either goalkeeper in the very formative stages of this cup tie.
There's a player in the Chesterfield side you'd recognise in terms of coming up against in the past, Will, you were saying?
Yeah, their centre forward Joe Quigley is a big lad. Oh, here we go, Harry Pell getting involved with stuff off the ball again. He's playing up to it. He's very clever. Look, he might get their player booked in a few minutes the way he's going. So little things like that. Obviously, getting the man sent off at Tranmere the other week was massive in helping us get that victory. So he's massive. But yeah, Joe Quigley used to be at Bournemouth. I think he's around my age. I've come up against him a few times. So he's a bit of a big man up top for them.
Meantime, here come Chesterfield now, forward from halfway with Darren Oldacre. Played away towards the far side now for the onrushing at Bailey Clements, making his way towards the left edge of the Dons penalty area. High looping cross comes in, goes beyond the 6-yard box. Curry will glance it on. King will touch it back into the mix, and the Dons will just about get it clear once again. So having to suddenly withstand a bit of a crescendo of Chesterfield pressure in the early stages here. in non-league opposition for the Dons for the second tie in succession. Weymouth certainly wouldn't go quietly. Eventually it took a real purple patch of goal scoring for the Dons with 3 in the space of about 16 minutes to see them off last time. But you sense that Chesterfield might be a bit more of a tougher nut to crack here this afternoon. It's Quigley now down that far side for Chesterfield. And just happy to steer it back to halfway and recycle the passing, but that's not going to do them any favours. It was King on this near side who's not going to get anywhere near that attempted diagonal pass. And it's going to go out of play for a throw into the Dons end, a couple of yards forward from the goal line.
Well, the defensive line, very much your area, Will. What do you make of how we're lining up this afternoon over there? Obviously, Oggs and JC have come in and done a tremendous job, and that new partnership at the moment, obviously that's where you're going to try and want to get back in eventually, but PK and Riley doing a good job as well at the moment.
Yeah, I think they've all been different class, really. I think, like you said, obviously the 2 young fullbacks, Jack Curry and Isaac Ogunde, I think they'll do everything they can to stop crosses coming in, and yeah, I think as a back 4 unit we've looked very solid. I noticed Paul Cook was just clapping their attempt to switch the play there, even though it went out of play. That looks like how they're going to try and undo us today by trying to switch the ball quick and get those crosses in. So I think it's imperative we've got those 2 fullbacks trying to stop the crosses.
And of course, Mikey, a former AFC Wimbledon player on the subs bench for Chesterfield in the technical area this afternoon as well. Danny Webb, of course, now assistant manager to Chesterfield.
Well, absolutely. Danny Webb from, oh, goodness me, getting on for about 13, 14 years ago. The star of the show, of course, away at Debenhams Leisure Centre in the second qualifying round in 2007. An afternoon when we famously drunk the town of Debenham dry of Aspel's cider. Cider spelt with a Y as well, so that's proper cider. And in the end, I think he took over in goal for Bath City in a National League game about 11 or 12 years ago when we beat them by 4-0. Also played a bit of Champions League football out in Malta, I think it was, too. So, and it's all those credentials weren't enough. Son also of FA Cup winner in 1970, David Webb, of course, with Chelsea.
Yeah, indeed. I think that was what Terry Brown's first season with us, that Danny Webb was with us, wasn't he? We were looking at strikers at that time, and he played a few games for us.
Meantime, 10 minutes gone. Goal kick to Chesterfield then, away to our left in front of that cherry red Records end. Dons 0, Chesterfield 0. Draw and a defeat for Chesterfield on their only 2 previous visits to Plough Lane. And of course, Wally Downs tells a tale of a famous game away at Chesterfield when a Don's goal rebounded out of the stanchion and wasn't allowed back in 1981. Past Robbie Turner's brother in goal for Chesterfield, John Turner. Those connections are everywhere. Here comes Chesterfield now inside the centre circle with Tyrone Williams. Forced to check his run and turn by Davison. It's with Grimes now away on that far side. And Donald's doing well to close Chesterfield down, forcing them to go back to basics and try and regroup and relaunch the attack. Forward it goes once again towards King on the near side, nods it in field. Woodyard gets the Mirror's glancing header on it, and in the end the final touch comes off a Chesterfield player as it goes out of play on the near side. Throw in then to the Dons. Jack Curry to take it. 11 minutes gone. Still levels you devils. The Dons 0, the Spy-Rights 0. As back it goes to Nick Zanev. Gets plenty of height on the attempted clearance. On towards halfway. King tries to bring it under control, but Davison goes in. Been sort of brought to ground. Now Pell takes over on the near side. Now Curry will loft it forward first time. Williams underneath it for Chesterfield. It'll break towards Grimes now in centre field. Certainly very competitive in the last few moments, but it's the visitors who will come away with the ball on the far side. Bailey Clements steered forward towards Dobra, trying to make that run in behind the Dons defenders. But in the end, Ogunde doing very well indeed to get himself between Dobra and the ball, and Nick Zanev able to gather that one towards the edge of his penalty area. Now here's Towler giving the ball high and forward for the Dons, but it goes beyond both Williams and Davison. Ross Fitzsimmons once again the man in charge for Chesterfield. Well, of course, plenty more action coming up in the next few weeks on radio at WDN. You can follow us all over the country. Grimsby, of course, here, 12:30 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time next Saturday, the 3rd of December. Then down to the county ground down the M4 to take on Swindon Town. Saturday the 10th of December. Dons, of course, victorious there last time out with that only goal from Joe Pigott. And then the big one, Plymouth away. Last 16 of the Papa Johns. I think that's most likely going to be on Tuesday the 13th of December, but we'll await confirmation of that particular game. And always good to have a pre-festive visit from Steve Evans as well, and he's here with Stevenage Saturday the 17th of December. Here's Woodyard now though for the Dons, right in the here and now, but quickly dispossessed by Whelan. Away now with Clements on the far side for Chesterfield, just inside his own half. Dobra with a very smart turn, looking to bamboozle Ogundare, but in the end managed to re-establish possession and steer it all the way back to Nick Zanev. Launched high and forward by him. Grimes once again winning the aerial stakes with Davison. It'll break though for Curry, trying to make his way down the left-hand side, and he's just taken down there by Liam Mandeville. So it's a free kick to the Dons, quickly taken. Woodyard tries to chip it over the top. Davison after it inside the Chesterfield penalty area. Oh, and in the end, Ross Fitzsimmons got there first. I think it's offside anyway against Davison. Bit of a coming together between those two, and Fitzsimmons just feeling the effects there as Davison put in a late challenge for the ball, which he was perfectly within his rights to do, as Fitzsimmons didn't seem to have it under complete control, but ultimately that little coming together rendered irrelevant by the offside flag on the far side.
Quick thinking though there by Wimbledon in terms of Alex Woodyard there, Will.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one thing Josh brings for you. He plays on the last shoulder, and he's willing to make those runs. So it's up to us players behind him to give him that service and look out for those runs, because at the end of the day, people like Josh, they're our best players. We've got to get the ball to him as quickly as we can, but as efficiently as we can. So yeah, it's handy to have playing on the last shoulder and making runs like that.
They're trying to impose their game on us early here, aren't they? But we're standing up to it at this stage.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what I've been massively impressed with in recent weeks, how we're battling and competing, and we seem to be winning a lot more duels than we have in probably, say, the earlier part of the season.
Thrown now then to Chesterfield, more or less level with the edge of the Dons penalty area. So Jeff King to take it. Thrown long in towards centre field. Here's Darren Oldacre now for Chesterfield. Here's Grimes forward inside the Dons half. Oldacre once again. Touch back into the centre circle now for Williams. Here's Whelan once again towards the right hand side. Chesterfield happy to work it from right to left and back again, just to try and stretch the Dons and keep them guessing. Mandeville once again down the right hand side. King once again. Played back in towards centre field. Oldacre. Chesterfield happy to bide their time as Grimes will deliver the cross eventually into the centre. Oh, and it was a fine tip round the post there from Nick Zanev, delivered into the centre. And well, we were talking about the danger of Joe Quigley earlier on, and he made that one his in the aerial stakes and diverted that one low down to Nick Zanev's left, and he was equal to it. Good tip round the post, and the first save worthy of the name, you'd have to say, from either goalkeeper. And well, ball Quigley fed into the centre, and the Chesterfield man forcing a good save from Nick Zanev.
Yeah, two players that you know very well there in terms of Nick Zanev in goal and Joe Quigley as well there, Will.
Yeah, what a save by Nick. I think he's been fantastic for us as well. We can't leave him out, because the last few weeks I think he has every attribute to be a top keeper, and he's starting to get his confidence back with it, because I think he's been outstanding for us last few weeks.
As the corner comes in from King, and I think it was Grimes, the Chesterfield captain, who made the most meaningful bid to get on the end of it, and I think he's deemed to have got the final touch to send it over the bar. Goal kick to the Dons, but certainly the aerial robustness of the Dons defence certainly put to the test in the last few moments with that good cross from the far side that saw Quigley force a save from Zanev, and then Jamie Grimes certainly not inconspicuous with his physical dimensions, coming forward and really getting in amongst the Dons defenders there. Couldn't quite keep the header down, and goal kick is the outcome to the Dons. Nick Zanev floats it forward into the Chesterfield half. Here's Dobra away to Clements now on that far side. Nice little sharp turn there on the far side. It goes forward now towards the Dobra, and I think the referee spotting an infringement there, so that's going to be a free kick to the Dons. But again, Chesterfield, who've looked fairly sturdy so far in their passing, looking to get a good rhythm going there, and finally kind of marrying that up together with A couple of dangerous balls into the Dons penalty area. And if it wasn't something we were aware of already, the Dons now fully know they're in a real blood and guts FA Cup encounter here this afternoon. The potential glittering prize, of course, a lucrative third round tie. Draw, of course, being made on Monday evening, but it's Isaac Ogundere in the meantime will take a throw for the Dons down the right hand side, inside the Chesterfield half, thrown down the line. Davison twisting and turning and battling away with Clements over on that far side. Pell now helping out. Nicely steered back now to Magoma. Towler will take up the running now inside the centre circle. Curry on this near side angles the run in field back across to Kalambayi. Ogundere now over on the far side. Don's turn to keep possession for a while and maybe frustrate Chesterfield somewhat. Magoma once again now just on the edge of the centre circle. Towler on this near side. Curry down the line for Asal. Real red hot scoring streak that particular young man is on at the moment. Back with Woodyard. Magoma sidesteps Oldacre and then tries to fire the ball away towards the far side, but maybe not for the first time. Perhaps Magoma blotting the copybook slightly with the Hollywood pass ending to a particular move, and again not getting his angles right there as Pell ultimately waited in vain for that one to arrive. Behind it goes, goal kick to Chesterfield.
Will, what have you made of Paris Magoma? He's a very skillful player, but at times League Two level is a bit testing, isn't it? You know, you've got to get in and do the blood and guts work, as Mikey said.
Yeah, obviously he's got so much ability, so much talent. We could spot that early on. Obviously he's adjusting to the league because the games that he's been used to are probably Brentford B games against top academy sides. So it's definitely a different test for him, but I think he's maturing as with each performance he's getting under his belt. So he's still learning though, isn't he? Still learning the game. He's a young lad, but you can see with his technical ability that he has that moment of specialty to affect a game. Like if you think back to the first goal at Weymouth here at home, he opened the door really with a pass to Ayoub. So he's got that to bring it out.
And after that impressive start with us at the start of the season, you did tend to notice opposing players were doubling up on him, and sometimes three players were around him trying to snuff out the threat of Magoma in centre field as well. So certainly testament to how well he started the season. As Pell now makes his way into the Chesterfield penalty area. Oh, and he tried to take it round the goalkeeper Fitzsimmons, but in the end overran the ball and chose the pragmatic option of just steering it out for a throw on the near side. But once again the Dons getting in amongst the Chesterfield ranks once again, and both sides starting to trade a few more meaningful blows, shall we say, inside the opening 21 minutes here at the Cherry Red Record Stadium. Still 0-0. Throw into the to Chesterfield rather, down their right hand side. Towler will steer it back forward. Here he is again at the second time of asking. Loops it onto the head of Pell. Nicely flicked onto Davison. Oh, and he tried to lay it off for Asal, but he went one way, the ball went the other, and Chesterfield were able to regroup in the shape of Tyrone Williams. Back now with Ross Fitzsimmons away now on that far side to Clements. Back now with Grimes, launching it high and forward, first time down that far side. Quigley and Kalambayi doing battle. It's the Dons man who wins out. Chesterfield though can regain possession. It's all the way back with the goalkeeper Ross Fitzsimmons. So a grey and overcast and breezy afternoon here at the Cherry Red Record Stadium. But so far neither side viewing that as a hindrance to doing their very best to try and give themselves the best chance to secure at the very least a place in the hat for a Monday night's draw for the third round. Once again it's Fitzsimmons for Chesterfield inside his penalty area, plays the 1-2 with Williams. Walks high and forward with the left foot into the Dons half. Kalambayi and Quigley, a real meeting, a real colossus is there for each side, and in the end it's going to break for Oldacre now towards the far side for Chesterfield. Clements goes on a lung-busting run up ahead, but well played for the Dons there by Ethan Chislett, getting up in such simplicity, breaking up the play, trying to get the Dons back on their way on the far side. Chislett once again. Ogundere will look up and float it high and forward. Davison again beaten in the air by Grimes, and Woodyard slides in to try and steer it forward, but out it goes on the far side. Throw into Chesterfield at the exact midway point then of the first half. Still scoreless here at the Cherry Red, Rob.
Yeah, we've had the first quarter of this game. It's turning into a really interesting FA Cup tie here between these two sides. What have you made of it so far, Will?
Yeah, I think it's a fairly even game, really. It's starting to spice up a bit with a few heavy challenges going in, but it seems to be we have a spell for a few minutes, they have a spell for a few minutes in possession of the ball, so it seems fairly even. Obviously, they've tested Tans once, where he's pulled off a good save, but apart from that, it's a pretty even game.
Here's King making his way down the right-hand side for Chesterfield. Stood forward now to Quigley. Comes under challenge from Towler, who does well. Concedes a throw-in now to Chesterfield down their right-hand side. And of course, Chesterfield's last visit to the Dons saw them go down, I think, pretty much in the very last minute to a cracking finish from Don Polion, which turned out to be the Dons' first win following their promotion to League One in 2016. As Harry Bell has another bit of a push and a shove with a different Chesterfield player on this occasion. It's Jeff King getting a little bit of a playful shove, but it's going to be King who will take the throw in for Chesterfield, waiting for some of his colleagues to make themselves more readily available. Still King waiting to take the throw. In the end, thrown into Whelan on this near side. The Dons regroup and get it out of play once again. Referee now just having a quick word with King. Not sure if that's about the time taken to take that last throw, but here he is once again. Quigley makes a move up ahead of him, and it's thrown into him by King. Chance now for Chesterfield. It's Mandeville who'll try and steer it into the Dons penalty area. Callum Bailly will get it clear high and away towards the near side, but too far ahead of Davison. Shepherded out of play by Tyrone Williams. It's another throw then to Chesterfield. 24.5 minutes gone. Goalless between the Dons and Chesterfield, just as it was in the first meeting between the sides back in October of 1979 at the old Saltergate venue. Followed that up with a 1-1 draw in the league at Plough Lane later on that season. Steve Ketteridge on the mark for the Dons. Meantime, in 2022, here come a Chesterfield. Good combination play down the right-hand side. King will now try and get there first, but Towler slides in perfectly to prevent the attempted cross coming in from Chesterfield. But it is going to be at the expense of a corner.
That was a fully committed challenge there by Riley Towler, wasn't it, Will?
Yeah, it was a brilliant covering from Riley. Obviously, just stop the cross coming in. Again, that's how important it is to stop the crosses. So, yeah, brilliant challenge from him. Hopefully, we defend this corner right as well.
So, plenty have made their way forward then for Chesterfield into the Dons at penalty area. It's going to be King to take it. And it comes once again, out swinger towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Grimes was forward once again, but Pell nipped in just ahead of him to direct the header away. Clements now will try and maybe set himself up for a shot from the edge of the box, but he was just clipped as he was preparing to pull the trigger. Not sure if it was Harry Pell who made contact with him. He was certainly in the mix, but whoever it was, it's a free kick to Chesterfield in a pretty central position. At 25 yards from goal. Everyone back behind the ball for the Dons. Of course, both clubs FA Cup semi-finalists in 1997. The Dons, of course, coming to grief against Messrs Hughes and Zola and co in that 3-0 defeat at Highbury. Chesterfield 1.2-0 up against Middlesbrough, and that was the Middlesbrough of Juninho, Emerson, Ravanelli, etc., only to be cruelly denied and then succumb in the replay. So you could say it was the cup final that never was being reenacted here for us before our very eyes at the Cherry Red this afternoon.
Yeah, made the point as well yesterday to Terry Skiverton that of course Chesterfield sadly lost John Duncan, the manager at the time, then only last month, so clearly motivation for this club in this season's competition.
Absolutely. John Duncan, of course, a hat-trick scorer against Wimbledon for Tottenham in their very first season in the league back in 77, that 4-0 defeat at White Hart Lane. Meantime, in 2022, free kick to Chesterfield. In it comes. It's King who drives it straight at the wall, and goodness me, Harry Pell there has been totally and completely poleaxed, and the play is going to have to be stopped here. We know that he likes to a bit of a push and a shove and a falling around and what have you, but I don't think he's doing any form of simulation here. That has caught him pretty painfully. He's sitting up now, though, thankfully, having initially been sort of flat out on the turf. And hopefully getting back on the mend as soon as possible, even though it might mean speaking with a couple of octaves higher in his voice maybe for a few moments. But he's back on his feet.
Even situations like this is just, it's so clever for us, because I'm pretty sure he was fine. I'm pretty sure that it didn't affect him. I know the guy's caught it at pace, but he's 6'4". Like you said, he's up within a minute, but that was a dangerous attack for them. Just that instant smartness, cleverness, just to go down there, buy us time, and it just disrupts their dangerous attack. So clever, really.
What can I say, Will? I always try and see the very best in people in purely innocent eyes.
You've got to play the game. You was born to do this job, though. The stats you've been bringing out already.
I think you're probably right, actually, Will. But he's had to leave the field, though, just in order to take his place back on the field. And, of course, the fairly up-to-date legislation means the ball will be dropped back with Chesterfield anyway. So they'll try and keep the attack going. But in the end, it's nodded back towards halfway by Chislett, really powering forward into the Chesterfield half, looking to pounce on maybe a misplaced pass by one of the defenders or the goalkeeper. But in the end, they come forward now down the left-hand side. It's with Dobra. Angling is running from that far side, played across the centre circle now into the path of Whelan. Well, it's a good ball in behind the Dons defence. Can King keep this in play? Yes, he can. Up against Curry, trying to work himself a crossing opportunity. Oh, but in the end, it's a somewhat scuffed effort with the left foot. Had players to aim for in the centre, but again, whether that was an attempted shot or an attempted pass, in the end, it was neither, it was both. Who knows what it was? In the end, it's gone into the side netting, goal kick to the Dons. But just for a moment there, it was certainly a very intuitive ball played through the Dons ranks, and King, who's been pretty heavily involved down the right-hand side for Chesterfield so far this afternoon, was able to keep it in play and got himself into a crossing position, but then ultimately got his lines wrong at the crucial moment, and the goal kick to the Dons was the outcome. Coming up for half an hour then, here at the Cherry Red. Asal now breaking down the left-hand side, trying to angle his run into the penalty area, and he's well, Williams has gone down holding his head. Looks like Asal has just collided there with the Chesterfield man, and well, the referee summoning the Chesterfield medical detachment onto the field. But Asal, I think, here just protesting his innocence. He just got his head down and tried to power past the two Chesterfield players. Williams was closest to him. Ultimately took a bit of a knock as Asal tried to power his way through. And of course that looked to be the only aim on Asal's mind, was to maybe get him right behind and get into the penalty area. No malevolence or malice, I think, was intended.
No, it's frustrating there, I think, for Ayub, wasn't it? It was totally unintentional, but I think sometimes you've just got to watch that little bit of frustration that he has, haven't you, Will?
Yeah, obviously he's such a passionate lad. He just wants to win. That is probably the biggest thing I can say about Ayub. He's an out-and-out winner. So I'm not, surely we've not been penalised for that, because like you said, it was their challenge on Ayub. So I'd imagine that it's still our throw-in, but he's just got to keep his head, because like you say, it's nothing to do with him. He's done his work, he's tried to beat him, and he's won us a throw-in, hopefully higher up the pitch. So yeah.
Do you think, Will, it's been one of the management's biggest challenges to obviously still channel the real talent and the directness of Asal's play, with maybe, again, we've noticed an improvement this season with just maybe taking a little bit of the edge off the frustration and the temperament he sometimes shows, because again, it could often be perceived that you lose one side of it and then you lose the sort of the whole Asal phenomenon, if you like. But certainly signs he's managed to balance things up a bit better this season. Yeah, for sure. You don't want to take too much away from his game, like you say. You've got to be careful with how you coach it. But that's every manager's job, really. They're there to get the best out of their players. And obviously Ayub, you can see he's got so much ability, so much potential. One of his biggest things is probably he's a ball winner. He's one of the players you like in his side because he can win the ball back. But like I said, he's got that frustration as well. So if you can challenge that in the right way, he is one hell of an asset to have.
I think it's when we had Anthony Wordsworth on as well this season. It's just trying to find that kind of happy medium of keeping him on the right side of things, isn't it? But you don't want to lose that edge to his game as well, though, do you? Yeah, for sure. You don't want to take that aggression away. To be honest, I don't think you ever will, because I think that's within him. I don't think you can coach that sort of thing. I think you've either got it or you haven't, and that is within Ayub. So he's just got to have that smartness, that cleverness. He could probably learn a little bit of Harry Pell, how he plays the game, and you know, he's got to understand how refs are going to work, how players are going to work, and because he's got so much ability, he's just knowing how to channel it.
and knowing when to do shrugged shoulders, crying eye gestures to opposing fans when you've scored a goal as well.
Yeah, for sure.
That was perhaps a little bit of the S word last Saturday at Brenton Park, but not that any of us were complaining, of course. Meantime, a free kick now goes the way of the Dons. A couple of yards inside the Chesterfield half, away towards the Dons' left. Riley Towler is going to try and launch this one high and forward. Away it goes towards the right edge of the Chesterfield penalty area. Players tussling for the ball. It's Quigley back on defensive duty, who gets a touch on it. Picked up now, though, by Woodyard. Just on that far side. Tries to tee it up for a Sal. Attempted ball into the centre. Deflects conveniently into the path of Mike Jones. Clears it away for Chesterfield, but then Callum Bye takes a bit of a heavy touch, and in the end Dons perhaps a tad fortunate to maintain possession. Ogundare down the far side. Another attempted ball comes in, looking for Pell. Grimes with a diving header to get it clear, only as far as Curry. Immediately releases Davison now towards the left hand side. Ball clipped into the edge of the box. Chesterfield only get it partially clear. Now Chislett inside the penalty area, tries to go around the keeper. Oh, and in the end did ever so well to get a shot away. Chesterfield clear it off the line. As Sal now right side of the box tries to get another shot going. And that's one's more conventionally dealt with by Chesterfield, but still the Dons have it.
Chesterfield are playing with 10 men still, of course, at the moment. Williams has come off and Chesterfield haven't made the substitution yet. Palmer being lined up.
Yeah, this Palmer lad, I think they got him from Stockport, is a big centre-half, about 6'4", 6'5", so that'll be another test for Josh. He was unlucky there. I'll tell you who else deserves a special mention. It's Chislett, really. Such a clever run there, and he's bringing so many goals and assists to us. It's a massive help. He is such a clever player, so he deserves a special mention.
Well, the way he nipped in there and took it round the keeper, and we're pretty much on the goal line itself, managed to steady himself and still roll it pretty much along the goal line. I don't think the angle was ever going to allow him to score, and in the end Chesterfield able to get back and clear it from right on the line itself. But again, just showing the intelligent play and how he can be such an asset and can play with real guile and creativity. And maybe had he been a couple of feet away from the goal line, he might even have squeezed that one in. But certainly all praise for what he did manage to do in the end. And Chesterfield, again, as this first half now really starts to heat up with about 10 minutes to go, forced to clear the ball off the line. So a substitution then for Chesterfield. Williams then, that knock from a Sal, albeit unintentional, forces him to curtail his afternoon's endeavours, and on comes number 21, Ash Palmer. And so Chesterfield get themselves another free kick, another foul from Ogundare on Dobra. Oh, and he's just kicked the ball against the Chislett. I don't think really had time to retreat for that one, and sure enough, it's a yellow card for Ethan Chislett. And sure enough, the free kick comes to nothing as well. So maybe a bit of karma in that regard. But I don't think that was a deliberate attempt to hold things up from Ethan Chislett. He just happened to be there and just had the ball quickly kicked against him. And again, maybe Dobra giving the referee the opportunity to show the yellow card. But anyway, here come the Dons. Chislett angling the run in, flicking the ball back on the outside to Asal on the left-hand side into the penalty area. Oh, and in the end, won the race with Mandeville to try and deliver the ball in, but in the end, too much power, too much elevation on it. And it's going to go out of play for a throw-in on the far side to Chesterfield. So good to see Asal still getting in amongst the action, still very much in the thick of it, trying to take on the Chesterfield defence round the outside. But maybe just a moment's lapse in concentration led to the overhitting of that cross, and Chesterfield able to escape with a throw on that far side. But with 8.5 minutes to go of the regulation time in this first half, certainly not the most uneventful 0-0 scoreline that you've ever seen in terms of the opening 37 minutes. And both sides getting forward well, and the Dons maybe in the last few moments just maybe trying to exploit some of the real nooks and crannies in that Chesterfield defence, and the likes of Asal, the likes of Chislett, just having increased joy as the afternoon maybe is unravelling itself.
I know obviously Ayub overhit that cross with his left foot, but I'm really pleased that he attempted going down the line and tried it with his left, because 9 times out of 10 he usually does cut back inside and try and bend it in the far corner. So when he goes down the line, he'll keep defenders double guessing. So I'm really pleased he did attempt that.
And indeed, and good he has that left foot option as well within his locker too. As Curry now picks the ball up on this near side, cross floated into the centre. Davison leaps for it. Oh, and in the end, doesn't make contact. And in the end, it's deflected back by one of the Chesterfield players into the hands of Ross Fitzsimmons, Rob.
We've been talking a lot about, of course, Ayoub Assal, but Jack Curry, I mean, it's his breakthrough season here with us. It's absolutely phenomenal, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. He's the sort of player you want in your side. Like I said earlier, he stops crosses coming in. He's a very powerful athlete. He's actually the quickest player in the squad. I don't know how many people actually know that, but he's very physically developed for his age. He's got a hell of a spring on him, and yeah, like I said, he's the quickest player in the squad, so he does actually offer so much.
Well, who can forget that towering leap for that Don's second goal right back on the opening day here against Gillingham to seal that 2-0 victory. And certainly doesn't shy away from any aerial challenges, even against players a good few inches taller than him as well. So that real determination, that timing as well, of course, which you'll need to maximise your chances of winning those kind of challenges.
Yeah, for sure. He's a very honest player, and he'll always give his best for the team. I'll tell you, I've just a side note, who I've been very impressed with from them. Their number 30, Tom Whelan, seems to orchestrate quite a lot.
Indeed, just quietly going about his business and keeping things ticking for Chesterfield in that centre field area. And we're coming up to 6 minutes to go. Again, it's still goalless here at the Cherrywood Record Stadium, but again, maybe both sides finding a little bit further space now to move forward. The Dons in particular in the last few moments who've probably put together their best attacking spell of the game so far, but still not able to send the ball decisively beyond Ross Fitzsimmons, who's got the ball now.
And Tom Whelan is another player that Terry Skiverton out in that technical area at the moment highlighted yesterday, a player he knows well from his spell at Yeovil Town. He was there in his career. As Will's picked out, I wouldn't get the ball back to Zanev.
Forward from Zanev, but gives the ball straight to Oldacre. Now Clements on the far side. Oldacre once again. Here's the substitute, Palmer. Now King on this right-hand side for Chesterfield. Clipped high and forward beyond Curry, but in the end Mandeville straying offside. And it's going to be another free kick then to the Dons. Greetings to Julie Ayers-Smith, still a little bit under the weather, but still joining us online. And hopefully clean bill of health for you sooner rather than later, young lady. Hope you can join us soon. Nick Zanev then to take this kick then outside of the penalty area for the Dons. Walks high and forward into the Chesterfield half. Pell flicks it on for Davison, who tried to help it on. I think he assumed that Assal would be further forward down the left-hand side, but he checked his run, so in the end it trickles out harmlessly for a throw to Chesterfield. 4.5 minutes remaining then of the regulation time, Rob, still goalless.
Yeah, something I'm fascinated by is just looking at Harry Pell there. Will, it's probably a very easy explanation to it, you can probably tell me about, but why the holes in the socks?
Yeah, so quite a few players do that, to be fair. Some players cramp up in their calves, and with the socks being tight, a lot of players like to cut the holes in them. Obviously, I think Pelly's actually quite veiny in his calves, to be fair, so he's very muscular. He's got a lot of muscles there, quite high muscle tone. So yeah, just to stop cramp really, and making sure that it's not too tight. Yeah. Interesting.
Okay, we continue. It's 0-0 here at Plough Lane between AFC Wimbledon and Chesterfield. First half, Chesterfield mounting another tuck flag up though. And it's been very competitive in this first half, isn't it? It's boiling up nicely, this cup tie, isn't it?
Yeah, I expected it to be a very even game. Obviously, both sides are on a bit of an unbeaten streak, and both teams obviously want to keep that going. So I did expect it to be a very tight, tense game. I'd probably expect it to have one goal in it, if I'm honest, if it doesn't stay like this.
Yes, indeed. It's a free kick to Wimbledon. Nick Zanev prepares to take that inside the Dons half. Floodlights on here. And he's become a bit of a wintry scene here as well now. It's very strange times, of course. World Cup on, and Wimbledon here playing League 2 football in November. As Woodyard battling away for the ball. Now Towler to Magoma. Magoma can get on the ball here now. Let's see what he can do. Tries to get it off to Pell and does, and now thread it through, but through to the keeper. But good, quick, intelligent play there again from the Dons, Will.
Yeah, again, obviously Chiz and Josh, both of them up top, making clever runs there. So that's all you can ask as your front men making those runs, and they are trying to penetrate them.
Chesterfield just moving the ball out from the back, ball goes out of play. But one thing that we are seeing from the World Cup at the moment, Will, is that the amount of time that gets added on, they really do tot it all up, don't they? And you get the very accurate. You're playing on for quite a way in some of these games now, stretching on for 100 minutes at times now in total.
Yeah, obviously it is, like you said, it's a strange time with the World Cup games being on. So obviously, yeah, it is.
Well, we wait to see how much time's going to be added on at the end of this first half here. Generally, it's a figure that's kind of rounded up by the officials, whereas FIFA at the moment have been really adding time on in some of these games. As we approach the end of the first half here, 2 minutes of regulation time left. Wimbledon 0, Chesterfield 0 in this FA Cup second round tie here at Plough Lane, as Magoma goes in and tries to make a challenge. That's
a great press from Wimbledon there. That's something I've noticed, that when one goes, we all back each other up.
Chesterfield getting away here though, trying to make an attack of their own. Getting into the Wimbledon penalty area is a chance for them here. It's in on goal, and that's the lead for Chesterfield. And it's Dobra, and it's Chesterfield, the visitors, who've taken the early lead there, Will.
That's a terrible time to concede just before half-time. He's actually another player I've played against. He was in that Ipswich Town side that we beat 3-0 here a couple of seasons or one season ago. So he's obviously a clever little player. They've just, yeah, we've done so well initially pressing. We've all backed it up, but then is it the right time to press 2 minutes before half-time? We was unlucky not to get it, but obviously I think Paris started to lead the press and it looked good initially, but yeah, as soon as they break that, then you're a little bit outnumbered. So
just looking at Alex Woodyard, I think he's got back to his feet after that as well. But just before half-time here, a real key time to score, and Chesterfield, through Dobra, have the lead. They broke away there, finishing past Zanev. And it's the non-league side who've taken the lead, Mike.
Well, indeed, we were talking about how the Dons were gradually getting into a bit more of an attacking gear and putting pressure on Chesterfield in the moments leading up to half-time. But then Chesterfield maybe spotting one or two gaps to try and exploit, and sure enough, when you thread the ball through into the penalty area, you need to be on your full defensive mettle and watchfulness, and sadly the Dons took their eye off Armando Dobra just for that crucial moment, and in the end he had time to steady himself and slot the ball pretty comprehensively beyond Nick Zanev. And, well, Albanian flag flying aloft there in the Chesterfield end, and it's Dobra with 4 additional minutes signified at the end of the first half, who's finally opened the scoring here this afternoon. I think a goal was inevitable, really, perhaps at some point. Looked as though it was going to be the Dons who might be most likely to get it, Rob, but sadly just again just allowing that little bit too much space at the vital moment for Armando Dobra, and in the end never any doubt, I don't think, whether that was going to end up.
They've certainly been playing their part in this cup tie so far, and Dobra opening and scoring at a real key time. 4 minutes to be added on here at the end of this first half. But interesting times here now in terms of how this FA Cup tie has been coming together. Been very competitive first half. Johnny Jackson and Terry Skiverton about to deliver their team talk. Will have changed a little bit now with that goal as they attempt to get Wimbledon firing in the second half here. All to play for still, though.
I think Johnny Jackson deserves some credit as well. His half-time team talks recently have been spot on, because I think we've come out firing for the second half the last few weeks, really. So hopefully he can gear us up again, because obviously the chance to get a big club in the third round, and we've had some big ones over the years, would be massive for the club. Obviously the most recent one, probably the West Ham win.
Are we going to get you to do your half-time trick and zip down there and perhaps get in on that half-time team talk?
Yeah, I probably will. I might have to nip in there.
So Wimbledon 0 then, Chesterfield 1. We've had about a minute and a half of the additional 4 minutes. Armando Dobra then, certainly one of the players that the Dons would have highlighted as one of the real danger men, and men most likely, shall we say, for Chesterfield this afternoon. And well, at times Chesterfield's aerial prowess has come to the fore, with the likes of Quigley and Grimes having opportunities, but in the end it was a more honest-to-goodness passing move threaded into the Dons penalty area, and Armando Dobra very composed and assured finish beyond Nick Zanev. But the Dons, of course, will certainly feel they don't deserve to be a goal behind. certainly increased their attacking output as the first half has gone on. So I wonder if there's going to be the chance maybe for them to maybe set up a late sting in the tail in the stoppage time that remains in this first half.
This is going to be a good battle for the rest of the game. Ayub against their fullback Jeff King. I've already noticed they've had words against each other, and they both seem to be quite feisty, so it'll be a good battle for the rest of the game.
Free kick played short by Chislett. Magoma will float in towards the far side of the penalty area. Towler was forward from the back, as too was Ogundare. In the end, neither of them able to make decisive contact with the ball. One of the Chesterfield players has ended up in something of a heap inside the penalty area, but goal kick, I think, is going to be the adjudication to Chesterfield.
And to be fair to Ayub as well there, Will, I think he did well to keep his cool on that last incident as well, didn't he? Hauled to the ground there and didn't react, just let it get on with it, let the referee do the officiating on that situation, let the free kick take place.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely learning, and he loves to learn. He loves to take things on board. So he's been a massive player for us in recent weeks. How many goals he's chipping in with. So yeah, he's just got to keep getting the ball, keep doing what he's good at.
Inside the final 30 seconds or so then of the additional time. Wimbledon 0, Chesterfield 1. With Will Nightingale, Rob Cornell, myself, Mike T, serving it up to you over the internet airwaves. This Emirates-sponsored second round FA Cup tie. And it's the third place side of the National League who in the end have made the breakthrough here this afternoon. And what have the Dons got maybe by way of riposte? Maybe not at the end of this first half, because I think we're pretty much at the end of the 4 minutes now, but some of those words of wisdom that Will was referring to from Johnny Jackson may well be the order of the day amongst the half-time pot of Darjeeling and plate of sponge fingers. Forward it goes from Zanev. Chesterfield head gets it clear, and that's the final action then of the first half. And it's the non-league side then who bided their time. Took a while to get going from an attacking sense, then had to endure a spell of the Dons maybe getting the better of things going forward, only to spring forward once again. And it's Armando Dobra with a calm side-footed finish from about 12 yards out, ultimately separating the sides as they go in at half-time. And again, with the busy cup schedule, of course, league games to contend with as well. The replay is something the Dons wouldn't ideally look to be trying to face, but at this stage, and given how Chesterfield have taken the lead, might be something they may well have to settle for in the end, potentially, Rob.
Just looking at Alex Woodyard coming off the pitch there, he's got blood down his leg there as well. That looks a nasty challenge on him there, Will.
Yeah, it must be a high tackle. Luckily, they're not actually bad ones. Obviously, they might hurt, impact one, a scratch, but he obviously didn't look happy rolling it down. I don't know whether he rolled it down to prove a point to the ref or what. But now this is what it's all about, really. When you go up against it, you're 1-0 down. It's time to see what characters come out and want to drive us through to that, to get us back into the game, really. So it's going to test us this second half, so it'll be interesting to see how we fare up with it.
There's a couple of Wimbledon players on yellow cards as well, Ethan Chislett and Isaac Ogundare, but Wimbledon with work to do in the second half, Mike.
Indeed, very much so, and hope you can join myself, Mike T, Rob. Also, many thanks as always for your multimedia efforts. And from a commentary perspective, he's very much one of our own this afternoon. Will Nightingale also joining us, fresh from spying, hopefully, on our very own half-time team talk to maybe give us a few nuts and bolts on how the Dons plan to close out this particular deficit given to them by Armando Dobra in the closing stages of the first half. It's Wimbledon 0, Chesterfield 1, and we'll be back with you for the second half in 2 shakes of a crooked spire. Absolutely. Welcome back then to the second half of Wimbledon versus Chesterfield. Emirates FA Cup second round action. Dons with a single goal half-time deficit to try and retrieve here in the second half. Given to the Dons by Armando Dobra in the last knockings of the first half. Just getting onto the field there, and it looks as though Alex Woodyard has been suitably patched up for this second half, as the Dons now get ready to get things underway for the second half and attack the South London Movers stand. Let's see if the Dons can produce one of the real gritty FA Cup comebacks of yore to try and at the very least make sure they have a presence in the hat or the bag or the octagonal commode or whatever it is they're using it these days for the draw on Monday night.
Yeah, Alex Woodyard, he's not used to having long-term injuries. He's been out for that while with that calf problem that he came back from, but it's going to take a lot to get him off the pitch, isn't it, Will?
Yeah, definitely. It was like I said, I didn't think that was going to be one that was going to create a problem. It just looked like a painful one as opposed to an actual issue.
Straight away, Chesterfield marauding down the right-hand side. It's King who's powering forwards, running at the Dons as he was for the majority of the first half down that far side. It's, in the end, the ball goes behind. It's a good bit of shepherding there from Paul Kalambayi. Nick Zanev will take the resulting goal kick for the Dons. Forward it goes now into the Chesterfield half. So Whelan who gets a touch on the ball, but the referee had already spotted an infringement there, so free kick then to the Dons, a couple of yards inside the Chesterfield half, away on that far side. Riley Towler to try and deliver this set piece forward. Plenty of players making their way up towards the edge of the penalty area. Forward it goes now then from Towler. Kalambayi trying to get the flick on. It's one of the Chesterfield players who heads it partially clear. It was one of the substitutes, Palmer, but although Pell went down towards the edge of the box, play was allowed to continue as Chesterfield now try and come forward down the left-hand side, but it's a bit of a breakdown in the communications there between Jones and Dobra. In fact, it was Oldacre and Dobra who couldn't quite work the oracle between them, and the Dons came away with a throw. Lofted high and back forward though by Chesterfield. Dobra retreating from an offside position, and in the end Towler able to nip in ahead of Quigley and nod it back to Nick Zanev.
Will, obviously it was a little bit difficult to get you down there for half-time, but what do you think Johnny Jackson would have said in his half-time team talk?
I think he would have said just keep things tight, because at 1-0 you're always in the game. Just keep it tight and don't concede that second. As long as we do that, we've got the type of players that can unlock the door, really. People like Chiz and Ayub and Josh. So we've got to keep making them penetrating runs and hopefully bring out some quality where we can play through the lines.
Here's King once again down that far side for Chesterfield, really tussling away with Curry. In the end, it goes out for a throw into Chesterfield. Taken by King. Here's Whelan now, suddenly angling his run towards the edge of the box. Flick back on the outside for King. Looking to try and tee himself up maybe for a crossing opportunity. In the end, slides it in towards the right edge of the box. Dobra tries to help it on after receiving the ball from Mandeville, but in the end, Mandeville didn't make a return run to try and latch onto any potential pass back forward from Dobra. Behind it goes. Goal kick to the Dons to be taken by Nick Zanev. Coming up for 3 minutes gone then in the second half. Still Chesterfield with this single goal advantage. Chesterfield third in the National League. Only Wrexham and Notts County ahead of them. Notts County, of course, who had that fantastic 16,000 attendance the other day, which broke the record for a National League match. As Kalambayi with another almighty tussle with himself and the man mountain that is Joe Quigley of Chesterfield. All pinging around at the moment, a real bagatelle episode, and in the end it's Chislett who's gone down in something of a heap. Referee just having quick words there with Oldacre, Rob.
He's so good at that, Chiz, buying a foul. He does it all the time in training. He's so nippy and nimble with his feet and footwork that, that's one thing he's very good at. He buys fouls ever so well.
Nick Zanev then to take the free kick for the Dons, about 10 or so yards inside his own half. Floats it away towards the edge of the penalty area. Davison with a flick on. Pell also with a flick, which I'm not sure we knew too much about, but Woodyard will now steer it back forward again. Chislett twisting and turning. Back now with Magoma, tries to slide the ball forward towards the left edge of the box, looking for a Sal, which of course worked to such great effect against Weymouth, as Will touched upon earlier, but not on that particular occasion. And Chesterfield gradually start to regroup from the back and maybe try and get the ball forward. But the Dons certainly determinedly putting in their challenges on the far side, and they've come away with a throw. Here's a Sal now on that far side. Chance now for Curry perhaps to try and take on a couple of Chesterfield players, but ultimately outnumbered. And they'll try and spring forward again now once more. Gradually completing the move out of the defence. It's with Dobra now on the near side, very neatly slipped away from Ogundare. Still Dobra in possession. Still Ogundare tries to stick with him and does well. Sticks in a foot and manages to prize the ball out of play. Out it goes then. Throw into Chesterfield.
This is certainly no KGFA Cup tie. This it's two teams that really want it, isn't it, Will?
Yeah, starting to get a bit bitty with all the tackles and flying in, and there's a few ricochets here and there. We just need that bit of composure in the right areas now. We're battling, we just need that composure and quality to come out.
There's Oldacre for Chesterfield, back into centre field for Whelan. Now Mandeville, away to King over on that far side. Attempted cross comes in, deflects back and away off Asal. King tries once more to steer it down that far side. Chesterfield appealing that to taking a deflection on the way through and should be a corner, but the adjudication is a goal kick then to the Dons, to be taken by Nick Zanev. Chesterfield fans in continued good voice away to our left in the Cherry Red Records end, and certainly understandable given the 1-0 advantage. What can the Dons do though? It's with Grimes, will try and steer it forward for them towards halfway. Ogundare goes in with a challenge on Oldacre, and it's an illegal challenge according to the referee. So free kick then to Chesterfield.
It looks like we've just signalled Huss, so I'm pretty sure we're going to be bringing on Huss. Either be for Oggs or for Jack Curry. I think it's more likely to be Oggs, as they've just done it as he's given away a foul. Don't know if that has anything to do with it or not.
Ball hoisted high and forward then in towards the Dons penalty area. Towler will clear it away towards the far side, and well, as we saw at Portsmouth, Will, in the Papa John's, as we've seen in other games as well, he's got that real versatility that looks completely at home on either side of the Dons defence.
Yeah, he's got so much energy, Huss. He wins all the fitness runs. He's just a strong runner, so he'll offer a lot defensively and going forward, because he'll be up and down that wing, which is one of his plus points. Fearless
as well, isn't he?
Yeah, obviously he's not the biggest of lads, but he'll fly into every challenge. He's got a lot of heart, and I think that's such a massive attribute to have as a footballer.
Here comes Chesterfield now with Clements down the left-hand side. Dobber into the Dons penalty area, but it's a combination of Magoma and Kalambai that wins it back for the Dons. Good footwork from Kalambai. Tries to steer it forward towards Pell. Steered back forward though by Jones for Chesterfield. Kalambai called upon once again towards the near side, but it's a tussle between himself and Joe Quigley. Ball's gone out of play.
He's been a little bit silly there, PK. I think he might have just pushed him a little bit there, didn't he? Well, he's got a yellow card for it as well.
So will the ref give a free kick here or a throw-in for them? A throw-in.
Interesting.
So Chesterfield then will resume play with a throw on this left-hand side. Taken by Bailey Clements. Thrown into Oldacre, back to Clements again down the left-hand side. Ball into the penalty area, into the 6-yard box, and well played Nick Zanev there. Got down and not only grabbed the ball, kept hold of it as well, because Joe Quigley was very much on the premises and looking to potentially pounce on a rebound opportunity. But again, Nick Zanev, as we were talking about earlier, maybe just signs he's really starting to regain all of that confidence which took such a buffeting, particularly last season.
Yeah, it was a great take from Tans, because that was a dangerous area from them inside the 6-yard box. He's done well to get there ahead of their centre forward Quigley.
Pell now chasing a ball into the Chesterfield penalty area. Goes behind. It's a goal kick then to Chesterfield.
He's someone that you know very well as well, Nick Zanev, isn't he? Since he's been at the club, you two are very firm friends, aren't you?
Yeah, the thing is, he's such a professional. He's such a professional in everything he does. He wants to be better. He trains hard. He eats well. He lives his life right. So because he wants to do so well, I'm a big fan of his, really. And yeah, I think in recent weeks, I think he's been absolutely fantastic. The saves he's pulled off and kept us in games that not everybody has probably noticed.
Goal kick then to Chesterfield. Ross Fitzsimmons to take it. 54 minutes gone. Still 1-0 to Chesterfield. Forward goes the kick now into the Dons half. Callum Bay wins it ahead of Quigley. Davison will now try and steer it square for Chislett. Tries to move away from Oldacre. Still Chislett forced to twist and turn. Back now with Woodyard on the halfway line. Here's Biller. Woodyard nicely turning away from Oldacre. Steering it in towards centre field. Pell first time back into Magoma. Good football from the Dons. Curry will now find Asal over on that far side. Curry carries on the overlap. Still Asal makes his way in field. Magoma 25 yards out. Oh, but he's just shown too much of that to one of the Chesterfield players who can come forward now and try and get them back on the attack. It's Whelan who spreads it away now towards Quigley on the far side. Sent a ball into the centre. Appeals for handball. Mainly from the Chesterfield fans. Nothing doing from the referee, and none of the players, crucially, backed up the cries of their supporters.
Yeah, I've really been impressed with their player Whelan. He breaks the play up well for them. Like I said there, he got their attack going there. He seems a clever player.
Now Biller moving forward into the Chesterfield half, really charging forward down the right-hand side, forced to check his run. Touch back to Asal. Flint back on the outside for Biller. Crossing opportunity. Takes a deflection. Asal will retrieve it for the Dons in towards centre field. Now he goes down under a challenge, having been caught late by Whelan. Free kick now to the Dons. Referee again having to deal with a fair bit of dissent there.
It's a dangerous area for Wimbledon. Obviously, I think Huss's impact there. Obviously, taking us 30 yards up the pitch there with a strong run and keeping possession. He's made a positive start to coming on, so hopefully he can keep that up.
I think that's going to be a key element, Will, isn't it? Just making sure the Dons are as far forward as possible at all times. And when you've got someone like Biller making those real lung-busting runs, that's always something you're going to give yourself a chance of.
Yeah, 100%, because we've got to try and stretch them and try and pull their players to mark us. That will hopefully open up gaps in between them.
Chislett then with the free kick. Players lined up across the edge of the penalty area. Almighty corridor of uncertainty as it's floated in. Beyond the 6-yard box. Oh, and I think it was Pell trying to make a late bid and run in from that far side. In the end, well, pulled the trigger, but ultimately missed his kick. He went all the way through and behind for a goal kick. But what a free kick that was from Ethan Chislett.
You can't ask for any more from the delivery. That's exactly where you want it. It looked fantastic from our angle, and I think his set pieces this season have been second to none. Even the ones he scored, and even his corners as well. I think every set piece he's taken has been second to none.
Yeah, those goals, of course, against Crawley and Bradford this season, his accuracy really does work on it, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he must do, because everyone I see, even the crossing deliveries, like I said, from corners as well, and the shooting ones, yeah, they've been top draw.
Especially when you can deliver the ball right into that passageway of precariousness, because of course you got the forwards running onto it. They got the advantage. The defenders are backpedaling, and one of the forwards makes decisive contact with the ball. More often than not, there's usually only one outcome.
Yeah, it was so close, exactly where we wanted it, that ball. So he's got to be asking a question. That's where you want it.
Here's Davison now, momentarily escaping the shackles of his markers and squaring it for Pell. I was trying to run in now from that far side with Asal ultimately seeing himself going to ground. Chesterfield now try and come forward again. Steered high and forward into the Dons half. It's going to go all the way through to Nick Zenev, and you just sense maybe the atmosphere, the temperature starting to increase here on this chill November afternoon here at the Cherry Red Record Stadium. The Dons, of course, with this single goal deficit to try and overcome, but Chesterfield just gradually seeming to dig in more and more as the second half is going on, and maybe relying just a little bit more on counter-attack.
Well, what you also sense here as well is how this game is opening up, and Terry Skiverton was saying yesterday about the expansive game that Chesterfield like to play, but it's now giving Wimbledon opportunities, isn't it, Will?
Yeah, I expected this second half to open up. It was a very tight and tense first half, but with that first goal for Chesterfield, it's going to draw us. We're going to have to go at them. The team that's won it down always comes out, so it will make this game quite open, I'd expect.
Clements now making his way in from the left-hand side for Chesterfield. Plays the 1-2 with Quigley. Now Dobra takes over, but well played Biller, winning it back and charging forward, checking his run. Now looks back up and threads it high and forward. Davison is after it, but that's going to go all the way through to Fitzsimmons, who launched it straight high and back forward onto the chest of Quigley. Now here's Dobra. Goes down under challenge from Biller. Play it out to continue. Here's Jones. And now Whelan is taken down by the retreating Ayuba Sal. So 2 Chesterfield players currently lying down on the pitch.
I'm not actually sure if that last one from Ayub was a foul, but probably because the one before was, the ref might have been inclined to give it.
And you can certainly be sure that Paul Cook isn't anything to allow anything to go laying down in terms of competing for free kick decisions for his side. We've seen that with all the teams he's faced us for previously. Of course, back at Chesterfield now.
Are we seeing George Marsh going through the stages of perhaps thinking about coming on here, maybe, Will?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going through the gaffer's minds about who else can he bring on. Like we were speaking at our time, it's probably not the most attacking players on the bench that we have as much as other weeks, because obviously we're missing Kyle Hudlin, who Huddersfield has stopped us from involving. So, yeah, he'll be thinking who he can bring on to affect the game for sure.
It's a very young bench, but of course we've seen Hussein Bieler come on already for Isaac Ogundere. Just 2 players on the pitch still for Wimbledon, Paul Callenby and Ethan Chislett, currently on yellows as well.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a positive sub to make in terms of the fact that Huss is probably more attacking than Oggs. I think Oggs has done fantastic, and he's shored up that right hand side because he stops crosses coming in like JC. But yeah, Huss probably tries to get forward that little bit more.
Here comes Chesterfield then down the left-hand side. Quigley tries to thread it square to Oldacre. Well played. Callum Bayou got in the way, turned it away on the near side. 61 minutes gone. Still Wimbledon 0, Chesterfield 1. It's Clements with the throw on the near side. Into the goal scorer, Dobra. Chislett sticks a foot in, gets the ball. Oldacre can steer it back forward for Chesterfield. Ricochets over towards the far side. Here's Jeff King, right edge of the box, tries to cut in onto the left foot. Just inside the D, and then Oldacre will very astutely steer it back on the outside. King once again, right side of the Dons penalty area. Again, trying to work himself a shooting or a crossing opportunity. In the end, he lets the shot go with the left foot from that angle. And Zanev down and all in line to make a straightforward save. Now here's Biller on the near side. Tries to flick the ball past at Dobra. It goes out of play. And it did look as though it came off Biller last, despite his protestations and those of the Dons fans. So,
yeah, Tan's done brilliant there. He obviously collected it, pretty comfortable save really, but he obviously give the ball to Huss, and from there you need options for Huss. So we just need to start showing up a bit more to help each other out on the ball.
Here's Grimes now for Chesterfield, just inside his own half. Their captain clips it high and forward. Everyone had held their run though, and it's all the way through to Nick Zanev as 4,176 is the attendance availed to us, of which 701 have done very well to join us from Chesterfield this afternoon. With all the transport and other logistical difficulties, it's an impressive and a very noisy away turnout here this afternoon. Here's Woodyard now though for the Dons, looking to try and redress the balance this afternoon, with the Dons still trailing by that Armando Dobra goal to 0. Here's Towler now into the centre circle for Magoma. Now Biller on the near side, nicely steered forward first time down the line. Chislett will try and move away in field from Clements. Biller takes over, moves in towards centre field. Now here goes Magoma, twisting and turning, tries to steer it forward, but couldn't quite pick out Chislett, and Chesterfield have picked the Dons' pocket and now try and come forward themselves with Oldacre. Now Clements steers a very astute high ball away towards the far side. Curry though nipping in very well ahead of Mandeville, and steers it out of play on the far side. Throw in though to Chesterfield.
You sense the way that these two teams are going at it here, that the next goal could be crucial here now. I mean, Chesterfield pushing for this second, Wimbledon trying to get back and get the equaliser. Still just under half an hour of regulation time to go in this game, but this cup tie is very much still alive, and both teams really going for it and sensing that third round big weekend coming up in January, which all players want to be involved in, don't they, Will?
Yeah, for sure. Obviously the third round's a big one where the Prem teams start to come into it, so it can help out so much in terms of revenue for the club. So this last half an hour will be massive, so we need to raise it and try and find another gear from somewhere.
Chesterfield now trying to come forward down the left-hand side. Clements is after it, but Chislett will get there first. Shielding the ball right back near the corner quadrant on the Dons' right-hand side. Oh, but Chislett has lost out. Clements manages to feed Oldacre. Biller back on challenging duty, but ultimately loses out. Chance now right side of the Dons penalty area. King will try and lob the ball goalwards in the end, just getting his bearings wrong. It's gone over the top, but it's taken a little deflection on the way through. Chesterfield now with a chance to really augment the pressure they're putting on the Dons defence with another set-piece opportunity. Coming up for 25 minutes to go of the regulation time. Chesterfield fans in full cry.
They're definitely discussing who to change. I can see the management staff.
As the corner in the end is played low towards the right edge of the penalty area, and I think it was Mike Jones who ran onto it, took it first time, and in the end just getting his bearings fractionally off as he steered it to narrowly high and wide of the left-hand junction of crossbar and post. Well, it looks like Alfie Bendel might be about to enter the fray.
Yeah, he's been taking on a few of those energy bars, hasn't he, Will? He's getting prepared to get out there, and he'll need it in this competition.
Yeah, I'm just wondering who he's going to bring off. Is he going to bring off Paris, because he's been a little bit loose the last couple of times, but then again, Paris has that ability that can unlock a game, so it'll be interesting.
I suppose it's a case of how it's balanced off that chance creating capability with maybe being overrun in midfield as Chesterfield look to, well, not just sit on this lead, but maybe try and double it.
Having said that, though, Alfie Bendel at 17 years old, an absolutely incredible talent, isn't he?
Oh, for sure. He's so wise. The reason I like Alfie is because he has a footballing brain. Some players just have a footballing brain. They understand the game, position of it. He's just so composed, and yeah, I'm a big admirer of his, and he'll have a great career, I'm sure.
Still only 17 years of age as well, which is certainly a mind-blowing statistic when you consider all the aspects of the game he has about him, and the determination and the pass creation capability too. Got a real gem on our hands. Let's see if he can maybe turn this game late on, at least fractionally back in the Dons' favour. As it is, it's going to be Chesterfield who will take their place in the third round draw, but the Dons still hopefully with plenty to say about that.
This is what it's about for players like Alfie as well. Obviously he's not been picked, so now it's up to him to prove a point. He's got to have in his head, I want to prove a point and make a difference coming on, so here's his opportunity. Let's see him grab it.
But it's Chesterfield though for the moment who are still putting their foot on the attacking accelerator. King with another attempted ball into the centre, which loops high off Curry and behind, and he kind of bounced over Zanev, who leapt high, but such was the elevation of the bounce that he couldn't prevent it going behind. Another corner to Chesterfield. 67 minutes gone. Wimbledon 0, Chesterfield 1. You're with Will Nightingale, Rob Cornell, and myself, Michalis Christakis Staliadoros on Radio WDN, brought to you by your club channel, the iFollow Dons. Corner right in front of those Chesterfield fans in the Cherry Red Records end. Alfie Bendel seemingly imminent for the Dons. In comes the corner though from the far side. Players queuing up in the centre. Dons get it only partially clear. Picked up now in centre field by Mike Jones. Now Oldacre on the far side tries to thread it in behind the Dons defence. King will get there, steered into the edge of the 6-yard box. Oh, and just for a moment the Dons were defensively at 6s and 7s, and Chesterfield had a couple of players running in, and what a pass that was in behind the Dons defence.
They're having a real purple patch at this moment in the game now, aren't they, Will?
Yeah, for sure. They've been pushing for that second for the last few minutes. The only positive thing I can say is that it's still 1-0, so at 1-0 we're still in the game. We've got to try and keep it that way, whilst obviously pushing to get that goal, because anything can happen in football. So we got to keep it. We can't concede another, otherwise I think, like you said, the next goal is so important. So it's key.
Alfie Bendel then. On you go, sir. May God speed you.
That's the second substitution that Will has called right this afternoon. You said Hussein on for Oggs, and now Paris Magoma coming off, and of course young Alfie Bendel coming on. Quite good at this summarising role, Will.
who did you get in the World Cup sweepstake? Don't say Qatar.
I wish I could predict the score lines instead of just the substitutions. Ball
now back with the Chesterfield goalkeeper Ross Fitzsimmons, just outside of his penalty area. Quigley manages to win the tussle there with Biller, perhaps unsurprisingly given the differential in their physical stature. But the move breaking down though for Chesterfield, threaded over towards the far side where there wasn't a green shirt to receive it, so Dons will unexpectedly perhaps come away with a throw on that far side. Taken by Curry into Towler. Curry takes the ball on the burst forward, forced to angle his run in towards centre field, and good driven pass into Chislett on the near side. Biller making further strides down this near touchline. Chislett once again. Now Woodyard angling his run in towards centre field. Oh, and he's threaded the ball through the Chesterfield defence, but went beyond Pell. Davison hadn't made a run to get on the end of it, and in the end it's a ball just slid all the way along the ground and straight into the hands of Ross Fitzsimmons.
That was fantastic play from Curry initially, beating two of their players, and then a fantastic switch to get us going. But then we just got to keep that quality in the final third at the minute.
Fair play to Woodyard for his ambitions, but again, sadly no colleague able to get on the end of that pass through the centre. Now Davison on the edge of the box, trying to twist and turn one way and the other beyond the substitute Palmer. And Chesterfield making a bit of a meal of getting this one completely clear. Woodyard then in an aerial challenge. It's back now with Callum Bailly on the halfway line. Now Biller comes under immediate challenge from Dobra.
That was a great run from Josh, obviously from the flick on from Pelly, and it was actually on to lob their keeper. But I guess that's where it's easier to spot it from up here compared to when you're down there. But yeah, it's a shame. If he could have spotted that, he's got the ability to have executed that, I think.
Well, certainly fast and furious action out there. Alfie Bendel now with his first set piece opportunity, floats it right into the left edge of the Chesterfield area. Flicked on towards Callum Bailly, he was forward from the back. Cleared by Chesterfield. Bendel once again can get Biller going down the right hand side. Another high hanging cross. Keeper's going to come for it with a couple of Dons players, and in the end good handling there from Ross Fitzsimmons. Came under a real challenge there by the Dons players, making a late bid to get on the end of it, and made that one completely his. And well, sort of thing that Chesterfield will be looking for increasingly as the minutes tick down for them. But you have to say they're not simply just falling back into defence and clinging on to this 1-0 lead for dear life. They're determined to add further strikes to this particular score sheet.
Yeah, I think they're in a league where there usually are quite a lot of goals in the National League, so they're probably used to having to attack games gun-ho.
Indeed, of course, the fact they're third place in that table as well shows that they're certainly one of the early kingfishers catching the sunlight, if you like, alongside Wrexham and Notts County at the top of that division. As Biller now again tries to make his way down the right-hand side, goes to ground. They're coming together there with Dobra. Just now inside the 6-yard box. Oh, and it's been flicked off target. Brilliant opportunity there for the Dons, and I rather think it's Harry Pell who's just stolen half a yard on the Chesterfield defence. And in winning the foot race with the keeper, Ross Fitzsimmons has ended up just flicking that one narrowly high and wide of the target, and that really was as gilt-edged as it's been for the Dons here this afternoon. All
credit to Huss originally. He was brought down on the challenge just before he tried to get the cross in there, and we get the ball in. Well, could we be left to rue that chance? Well, hopefully not.
Yeah, it's fantastic from Huss. He's got that heart. He rode one challenge. He's got that heart to get up and go again. It was a fantastic ball into the box. And that's where it comes back to me saying earlier how important it is to keep it 1-0, because football can change. We haven't really had anything this half, but that's probably the best chance of the game. I think Harry Pell will be annoyed with himself over that one.
But just to go back to Hussein Biller there, I mean, so often you see players maybe going down under that kind of challenge and they stop and they immediately turn to the referee and arms outstretched. It's such a commonplace thing in today's game, but again, indicative of how we breed them down here at the Dons, that he was immediately looking to try and rectify the situation and so nearly created that equaliser. And Harry Pell, well, he'll certainly consider that one a gilt-edged chance, particularly by his standards.
Yeah, you'd want to keep that about Hussein Biller's game, you really would, that he doesn't give up, he keeps competing all the way. So it's a real plus point with his game, isn't it, Will?
Yeah, he just brings energy. That's what he's about. Up and down, up and down. When we've not got the ball, he's back, and when we have, he's trying to give us an outlet, an attacking outlet. And I think it's been a fantastic sub from the gaffer so far, because, and fair play to Huss, obviously he's ready to come on and impact the game.
Ball now back with Nick Zanev. Again, ball launched high and forward, but beyond Pell, beyond Davison, and straight through to his opposite number, Ross Fitzsimmons, with coming up for 16 minutes remaining then of the regulation time. Still the Dons 0, Chesterfield 1. Still that goal just before half-time from Armando Dobra is what separates the sides. But again, Dons certainly can't say they haven't had chances this afternoon, and still time for them to maybe pull something else out of the bag. Thrown on the far side, taken by Curry into Woodyard, who then lofts it high and forward down the line. Asal can't bring it under control. Touch forward now towards Pell, but Chesterfield regroup once more in defence and try and bring it clear. And they always have these opportunities, don't they, to just run and run at the Dons defence. As Oldacre now feeds Dobra down the left-hand side. Here's Clements. Oh, he's completely wrong-footed Chiswick there. Ball played in towards the centre. It's Whelan now on the edge of the box. Made back to Jones, his king, over on that far side. Now Mandeville looking to try and twist it and turn his way past Asal, back on defensive duty, but the Dons man does ever so well to prevent that crossing opportunity for Mandeville. And now Towler will try and fire it forward, but he's giving it straight to Oldacre once again. Clements is not going very far from the Dons and allowing Chesterfield to come straight back at them. Another deep cross from that far side. Oh, and it's looped in at the far post. It's the second goal for Chesterfield. And, well, Nick Zanev in trouble from the moment that ball was struck. I think it's Jeff King who's got it. Cross from that far side, delivered with real whip. I don't know if it maybe took a little deflection or looped up at the vital moment, but all of a sudden Nick Zanev was in trouble, backpedaling, and that has dropped just inside his right-hand post, the left-hand side as we look at it. And Chesterfield, again, who've been playing some good football in the second half, despite the Dons' attempts to try and get back and restore parity, now have the second goal. And, well, it's, again, from out of nothing, really, in terms of how it came in. Looped up viciously, I think, over Nick Zanev, and he couldn't get back to prevent it dropping into the side netting of the goal. And now, with 14 minutes to go, what was something of an obstacle for the Dons to overcome to get back into this cup tie, Rob, is now something more akin to a mountain. It's Wimbledon 0, Chesterfield 2. Yeah, and we just look back on that incident just a few moments before when Harry Pell could have got us back on level terms, and now here we are. That moment has this booked Chesterfield a place in the third round. There's still time to go in this game, Will, but a real uphill task on our hands now.
Yeah, it's a good point. How crucial is that? It obviously probably makes that miss even feel like a bigger miss now, but it shows how quick football can change. I mean, there's still time. I think if you think back to a few years back when we had Curzon Ashton in the FA Cup, when we were 3-0 down with, 85th minute? I remember watching that game with my mum and dad, and it was an incredible game. So hopefully the players dig deep here, because we need more. So, but yeah, it'll be incredible if we can turn this round. Yeah.
The real scenes at that game when Wimbledon turned that one around. Who is going to be the Danny Ballman mounting the steward if we can turn that one around? But a long way to go in this one yet still.
What a character he was. He was brilliant around the dressing room. So funny.
Do you want to rephrase that, Rob? As Chesterfield come forward again down the right-hand side.
You know what I mean.
I know we were happy at coming back, and I think it was about 10 minutes to go when we got the first of those 3 goals. I think the Wimbledon were 450-1 when they were 3-0 down.
Go find the clip on YouTube. It's still there.
But in all seriousness, Chesterfield now, having got 2-0 up, look as though they're going to bring on some reinforcements to help them see out the last 12 minutes or so. They're bringing on Tim Akinola, the number 4. He's going to come on in place of Tom Whelan. And also coming on Jezerin Shegbalam, number 18.
I'm personally happy that they're bringing off Tom Whelan. I think he's kicked the ball off a couple of times, and I've noticed Paul Cook shouting at him, so maybe it's not been one of his better games, but I actually think he's been one of their best players, so I'm happy that he's coming off. And obviously Dobra, tidy, clever player who got there first, is also coming off.
So Dobra and Whelan making way for Akinola and Shegbalam. Wimbledon 0, Chesterfield 2. Free kick to Chesterfield, midway inside their half. It's Fitzsimmons will launch it iron forward. Callum Baye gets there first, steers it back to Nick Zanev. Still time for the Dons to do something, but they need to do it PDQ, and, well, it just shows you how the games sometimes can hinge on such key moments. 1 minute Harry Pell is through and only the keeper to beat and steers it high and wide, and then, well, I don't know if you describe that as a freak goal perhaps, maybe from Chesterfield for the second. It's Jeff King who's been credited with it, and delivering a cross from over on that far side. It's looped over Nick Zanev. I don't know if it took a deflection or it looped up off somebody on its way, but the Dons now taking the opportunity to again test the strength of their substitutes at resources. It's going to be Courtney Senior who's going to come on.
We need a bit of magic now to get us back into this, don't we, really? I mean, they've kind of sort of quietened and nullified Ayub Assal a little bit. Maybe a little bit of magic from Ethan Chislett as well, if we can get him a set piece outside the area just to get us back in this, Will.
Yeah, I'm not sure if their keeper's actually made a save. Obviously, I know Pelly had a probably best chance of the game, but I'm not sure their keeper's made a save. So we've got to try and test him where we can. They're obviously a good side, Chesterfield. They've been well organised, I think.
Powell now delivering a high cross from the right-hand side. Oh, and King very, very nonchalantly chests the ball down for the goalkeeper, Ross Fitzsimmons.
Courtney Senior's got that little bit of skill, that little bit of trickery about him that could perhaps turn a game, hasn't he, Will?
Yeah, one of my friends was actually at Brentford with him and said that he's one of the quickest, most two-footed players he's ever played with. So he's definitely got that ability. I think he had such a long time out. I don't think we've seen the best from him, which is probably frustrating from his part. So hopefully we're giving him the opportunity. Hopefully he can start to get there, but obviously it's down to him to bring it out.
Well, from out of absolutely nothing, and perhaps without knowing too much about it, scored one of the Dons' most crucial goals of the season when equalising against Harrogate here some 4 weeks ago, when that attempted clearance was drilled against him just as he arrived on the scene, and it looped back beyond the helpless Harrogate keeper. So maybe there might be some talisman factor to be explored there from Courtney Senior. But with, well, 9 minutes to go, it's a very, very big ask indeed for the Dons.
What an incredible ending to that game, the Harrogate game, where we won 3-2 a few weeks back. Like you said, obviously Courts didn't know too much about that goal, but that's where you need that little bit of luck in football. I don't know if we had that earlier on in the season, but in recent weeks, like against Harrogate, we definitely had it, and it is a part of football, unfortunately.
Well, indeed, as Ethan Chislett.
Here we are. Courtney's got the holes in the socks as well, if you can notice them.
Oh, yes, indeed. Extra ventilation. Almost like the old speed stripes when you go to visit the barbers. Obviously from many years ago in my case. It's King now launches the ball high and away from the right-hand side towards the left for the Shegbalam now for Chesterfield. Makes his way in from this near touchline. Belair goes with him. Back now with Clements on this near side. Shegbalam once again. Clements will steer it back now to Grimes. High diagonal pass away towards that far side, but beyond Mandeville, and it's Curry who will chest it back to Nick Zanev. Rob.
I'm just looking down at the one of the Chesterfield press guys there, who was just playing around with the scoreboard there. He's changed it again, but a moment ago he had it at 2-2, and we'd certainly take that at the moment, but we've got 8 minutes left to find a couple of goals or regulation time.
Well, he's now got it as full time. I
wasn't going to mention that bit.
3-0 to Chesterfield. Anyway, Davison will now set up Pell on this near side. Forward for Assal. Bilal bombing forward on the overlap. Oh, but the two of them couldn't quite link up and produce a crossing opportunity. In the end, it was Jezerin Shegbalam back on defensive duty for Chesterfield.
They normally have a good understanding, Ayub and Huss. They're actually very close. I think you used to be able to never see them apart before Ayub fully broke through to the first team. So yeah, Ayub didn't even look to see if he was there. Obviously he heard the shout from Huss, but unfortunately good tracking from their man, and it was sniffed out.
He's got that about him, isn't he? I mean, it's another one of those players at the moment who's doing really well up in Scotland with Dundee. Zach Robinson and Ayub Assal had that telepathic almost ability between them, didn't they? Yeah,
I remember back to what was it, the Sheffield Wednesday away game where Zach's cut the ball back for Huss. Yeah, they've definitely got that understanding, those two, because they've played quite a few games at under 18s level. Zach is a fantastic player. He's got a lot of ability. Strong lad.
Phenomenal strike partnership between those two. We shall see what the new year holds.
It's a free kick now to Chesterfield, and it's a yellow card within a couple of moments of coming on for Courtney Senior. And I think it's a foul on one of the freshly introduced substitutes, Tim Akinola. So further time used up by Chesterfield. Then they're now 6.5 minutes away from certainly a notable victory. Technically it will be a giant killing, so to speak, non-league, winning it league opposition unless the Dons can really come back strongly. All this on the 45th anniversary of the Dons losing ignominiously another non-league FA Cup tie at Enfield by 3-0 back in 1977 in their first season in the league. As Chesterfield then take the kick forward towards the Dons penalty area. Oh, and the Sheikh Balam losing out in the tussle with Pell. Now Bilair will try and come forward. Now Woodyard on this near side clips it high and forward. Asaldo, no chance of him getting there, but still tussling away for the ball with Clements, and in the end tries to move forward down the line, but in the end couldn't keep it in play. Out it goes for another throw. As it's another substitution now for Chesterfield. It's Kabongo Shimanga who's going to come on, and your mate Joe Quigley, who's battled away ultimately without any goal scoring success, but he's really been there and constantly given the Dons something to think about this afternoon.
Yeah, for sure. He actually got the assist for the first goal for Dobra. He made a great run out wide, cut back and put a great ball through on a plate for Dobra for the first. So yeah, he's definitely made his presence felt, like you said.
For Wimbledon, of course, Courtney Senior having come on, he's not been on the pitch that long as well, and replaced a man on a yellow card, Ethan Chislett, and he's got a yellow card himself now.
Throwing then to Chesterfield, midway inside their own half. In no real hurry to take this one, as you would expect. Forward it goes down the line from Clements. Help further forward now into the Dons half, but Zanev's there outside of the penalty area. Loops it straight high and back forward, but out of play. So frustrating for the Dons. Again, at times looking as though they were going to put Chesterfield under real pressure. That good period of play in the first half prior to Chesterfield then taking the lead. And in the end, that particular goal from Armando Dobra, not just giving Chesterfield something to hold on to, but really improve upon, and they've done that, albeit in slightly bizarre and surreal circumstances with that second goal. But really, they've got their game plan absolutely spot on here this afternoon, and sadly, despite all the Dons' machinations and substitutions to try and bring about a way to get back at Chesterfield, sadly none of it's worked, and as things stand, it's a famous afternoon for Chesterfield down here in southwest London.
Yeah, saying about it in the build-up to yesterday's game that Chesterfield, one of the powerhouses of the National League, and at the moment they are powering their way into the third round here. Time ticking away on Wimbledon's FA Cup hopes for another season.
Of course, in the National League, I mean, it is virtually Division 5, isn't it, when you look at the former league clubs that are in there, all vying away to get back into the top four divisions, and third in the table as well. So again, certainly no slouches. Knew what to expect here this afternoon. Obviously confident in their own ability given the current run that we're on, but ultimately Chesterfield have come here, bided their times at times in the first half, got themselves in front at a key moment. We talk about goals being scored just before the interval, and that's proved important, I think, as well, because it alters the whole mindset of the two respective team talks. And despite what the Dons have tried to do, and Pell again, who knows what would have happened if that had gone in, but King has ultimately looped home the second goal, and here's Akinola now for Chesterfield, making his way into the Dons penalty area. Real lung-busting run forward from him.
That was fantastic tracking from Courtney Senior as well. That's probably not part of his game, but to track back there is obviously a massive for us, because he was looking lively there, number 4. Who did you say it was? Tim Akinola. Yeah, he was looking lively there.
And if we are to be on the end of an FA Cup, as it is a kind of shock here, with, of course, Chesterfield being a non-league side, it will be the second League 2 scout they've taken, having taken Northampton Town in the last round.
In comes a corner then from the far side. Davison flicks it only partially clear. Bendel helps it forward, but only picked up now by Oldacre. Chesterfield again trying to exploit one or two spaces down their right-hand side, but in the end couldn't get the cross in. It's trickle behind. Goal kick to the Dons to be taken by Nick Zanev, and with a minute and 45 seconds to go, you rather suspect that it's going to be Chesterfield, crooked or otherwise, will aspire to a place in the third round of the Cup.
Yeah, time's ticking, so we've really got to throw the kitchen sink at it now.
But the ball is not where the Dons want it to be. It's coming together, well, first and foremost between Pell and one of the Chesterfield players, but it's with the Chesterfield keeper at the moment. I think the referee just wants words with Pell and Jones, I think it is, of Chesterfield.
Yeah, Mike Jones, he's definitely not backing down either, is he? He's not happy about something.
But in the end, it's a day of huge disappointment, though, for the Dons, particularly on the crest of this unbeaten wave. And now most, if not all of us, will now have something else, so we'll have to find something else to do on Monday evening at 7 p.m. Chesterfield milking the moment with fans' rendition of Everywhere We Go, which I used to lead actually back in the day. But anyway, 21 seconds to go then, as Chesterfield looking so solid and all set for a place in the second round, as Belair goes to ground after a bit of a coming together with Jesser and Shebguelam.
This is what football's all about, though. I know it's obviously not what we want, but it's giving your fans something to celebrate about, something to chant about. Obviously Chesterfield's doing that at the minute, but that's what football's all about, making your fans proud and giving them something to chant about and making it a good atmosphere. 5 additional minutes then. We know the Dons have a history of keeping their powder dry right till the very end, but
if you're going to chuck the kitchen sink, you might as well chuck the rest of it, the cooker, the fridge and everything else out here right now, Will, because we need to. We've got 5 minutes to do it.
Yeah, have we made, how many subs have we made as well? We've brought on Alfie, Huss and Courtney. Did we make them all at different times? Because you can bring on 5 subs, but at 3 different opportunities. I think we made them at 3 different opportunities, so that's it for our subs, isn't it?
Well, not so much a case of chucking the kitchen sink at Chesterfield, it's a case of nipping across the road to Wicks and I think nicking one of the entire kitchen displays, I think. As Fitzsimmons now launches the ball high and away towards the far side.
Yeah, it's not looking positive. Obviously they're going to have experience and know-how. Now the ball's in this far corner, throw into them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they are come the end of the season in the National League and how things are boiling up. Of course, Wrexham very high profile, top of that league, but Chesterfield in 3rd place, looking to get back into the Football League. They've got a tough side out there. They're going to compete here, but at the moment it's our FA Cup hopes that are fading.
Callum Boy now clearing it away towards the near side, but immediately showing his frustration with the body language that the ball just drifted straight out of play. Pell and Lassalle both helpless to try and keep it in play, and now Chesterfield on this near side with a minute and a half gone of the 5. I'm probably just going to see this one out. Against the Dons can do something from somewhere, but again it's going to have to be a real sea change and a real seismic change of direction from what we've seen in the last few moments, because the attacking supply lines really have dried up. They've not been able to make anything stick when they've played the ball forward, and Chesterfield have mopped it all up, and if anything, even 2-0 up is still perhaps arguably the more dangerous looking of the two sides in terms of attack.
As hugely optimistic as we are in terms of this unbeaten run, this impressive unbeaten run that we've had, it looks like it's going to be coming to an end here. So Grimsby next up, Will, and it's so important how we're going to respond in that game, that, you know, all the momentum that we've achieved from this.
Yeah, it's massive to bounce back, and sometimes you learn more from a defeat, so we've got to learn where we've gone wrong here and make sure we don't make the same mistakes, but yeah, it's time to start another run. That's what it's got to be. You've got to have that attitude to bounce back strong, because that's what the best do.
And of course, most importantly, don't tell the Grimsby team that the kickoff's been brought forward 2.5 hours, so we might be able to claim a forfeit victory perhaps. Shades of Estonia v Scotland back in 1997. Anyway, here's Grimes for Chesterfield, clipping the ball high and forward, and it's going to be Nick Zanivel come to the near side outside of his penalty area, gets a decent clearance forward in the end into Woodyard. Here's Bendel, moves away from Oldacre up towards the halfway, releases Pell on this near side. 3 of the 5 additional minutes played, still Pell back to the halfway line for Woodyard. Here's Bendel forward for Senior, nice little back flick into Woodyard, moving forward down the near side. Couldn't quite pick out Belair due to a sliding challenge coming in by Oldacre. Belair will take the throw into Pell. Senior, Belair now on the outside, tries to angle his run in field. Senior tries to take over and does intercept, but in doing so sends the ball all the way behind. It's another goal kick to Chesterfield, and with 3.5 of the 5 additional minutes played, you do sense that it's all over bar the drinking for the Dons, trailing still by 2-0. And it's goals from two men very much part of their furniture who've helped keep Chesterfield sweet.
Absolutely, it's just about a minute to go of time added on here now. But really, I suppose it's just going through the motions now, isn't it, Will? You know, even if we found one now, it's a real job to find two in the time that's left.
Yeah, unfortunately so. But you've got to show that character to finish the game strong. But yeah, it's not looking positive.
Woodyard now just trying to ward off the attentions of Sheikh Balam. Back now with Zanev, launched it first time high and forward. Jones will steer it forward for Chesterfield. Towler high and back forward. Davison tussling away, but ultimately illegally in the centre field. Foul on Ash Palmer, and well, we're now pretty much at the end of the 5 additional minutes, so I'm just expecting that this kick forward from Ross Fitzsimmons is going to be the final bit of action that we see here this afternoon, as the Chesterfield fans away to our left will roar with delight at the final whistle as it's blown by the referee. Wimbledon 0, Chesterfield 2 then. The FA Cup dream sadly by the wayside for another year. Chesterfield will go through to the potentially lucrative third round stage of the competition. It was a goal in each half which ultimately proved the undoing of the Dons. Armando Dobra just before half-time getting in behind the Dons defence and with an assured finish. And then with about a quarter of an hour to go and still a very retrievable deficit for the Dons, it was an attempted cross from the far side from Jeff King that's looped up high and beyond Nick Zanev. It dropped into the left side of the side netting for 2-0 for Chesterfield. The Dons couldn't do anything about it and ultimately left to lick their wounds as soon as they can and try and get back on the road and re-establish normality perhaps in the league, Will, next Saturday when Grimsby Town come calling with that 12:30 kickoff.
Yeah, it's very frustrating, but like you said, we've got to bounce back. We've got to learn from this